Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Build Computers. This is my NZXT H510i. I was this close to buying a H510 Elite at the weekend. It's a case that I've been looking forward to ever since I saw the first pictures of it, because I saw it and I thought, that looks like an improved and refined version of what I've got. And then I didn't buy it. Here's why. So firstly, I'll just quickly talk about what I like and dislike about the H500i and why I was interested in the H510 Elite in the first place. So I was very much in love with this case when I first saw it. I really liked the S400 or the S300? The S400, I think. I'll put a picture of it in the video. Anyway, really liked the S400. And this just seemed like a much more developed and refined version of that case. And I really liked the fact that it had a tempered glass side panel that didn't have the 4 thumb screws on it and was a quick-ish release system. And I liked the way that it didn't really, this bottom bit of metal, this works for me, in my opinion. It kind of just leaves you with a dump space that you don't have to try and show off in any way or form. It's got nice clean looks. The build quality or the build design of the case is really good. All of the panels are really nice, and this is just a single piece of folded metal all the way around to underneath. So there's no seams or anything like that. It's really well presented. And so I was in love. It was a really good case to build in. I enjoyed it. And as you can see, for what I was trying to do with this computer, it looks really good. But therein lies some of the problems with this case. It's no secret when you look at reviews and such like that this case doesn't have the best thermal performance in the world. And despite the fact that you've got an air gap about that wide down the front and there is venting all the way down the back and the bottom, you just don't get a lot of through flow into the case. And this means that the graphics card generally has trouble. I mean, I don't have issues with it, but my graphics card is noisy under load, and it's not everything that I want it to be, unless I add in a bunch of exhaust fans to compensate for that, which I don't really want to do, because by the time I've added in more fans to bring the graphics card temperatures down, that is going to increase the overall noise to the point of what the graphics card was producing anyway. So I find myself at a point where I can't really win. So the case comes with 2 LED strips, the one along the top and the one you can see behind the back strip. And the one at the back strip doesn't do a huge amount, but it just adds depth to the case. It just brings the back to life a little bit, rather than just having a bit of a stale wash light. I appreciate it quite a lot. Those 2 LED strips come with the case and they connect to the smart device, which is a black box in the back of the case that plugs into a USB port. You can also plug 3 fans into the smart device, and it is a combination fan controller and LED controller. The disadvantage is although you can connect up 3 fans to it and the LED strips, you cannot connect RGB LED fans to it at the same time as the LED strips. So you still need another RGB controller in your computer. This fan at the back here is actually connected to my motherboard, and I'm required to control that from Gigabyte RGB Fusion, which, as anyone who's watched any of my videos before will know, is trash. So this fan can't really do a lot. I can't really do much with that will make it look nice, so I just leave it on a static white. So with that in mind, let's now talk about the H510 Elite and why I really wanted it. So here is the H510 Elite. And as you can see, it's it's basically the same, except you have this front glass panel instead of just metal up the front. And that front glass panel means that you can put some LED fans up the front and put them on show and be able to see them. And that is really cool. I like that. It adds the feature to the front of the case, which is what I was missing from the H500. Just simply because the H500's front, although it's a really nicely designed panel, it's flat and boring. And one of the reasons why I bought this case in black is that when you buy an NZXT case in white, it has that horrible feeling of just white goods to it, like it's a dishwasher or a fridge. You know, it's just plain white. And so having that glass front panel on show means that you can see the LED fans, and I could dial in some nice lighting effects to those fans just to bring the front of the computer to life a bit more. The additional advantages of this case is that it has an updated version of the smart device, which now has 2 RGB channels on it. So you can have your RGB LED strips connected and some RGB fans at the same time, which also covers a major shortcoming of the H500i. So those two things are what attracted me toward those cases. I was like, oh, look at that, it's an improved version. I'll sell my H500i for like 60 or 70 pounds. That's like, I don't know, $80. I'll sell it secondhand for, you know, just a little bit below value. And I'll buy the new and updated version of it. Now I'm sure the new and updated version of it is going to cost a bit more, but I don't mind doing that. I'll make a YouTube video of it comparing the two and showing how NZXT have improved it. So that's where the problems start. So one of the other things they've done is they've added a USB-C port to the top of the case, which is really good. I like to see USB-C appearing on cases because we've got the USB-C headers on our motherboards, and USB-C is in a chicken and egg situation at the moment where people are not adopting it because the only connector we have is buried down the back of the computer and no one's going to use that. So they're not going to buy any USB-C devices. So I want to see USB-C standardized on the front of new cases. I think the H500 should have had one, you know. But the problem is that they took out a USB A-type port to do that. Now again, as much as I want to see USB-C, not at the cost of existing ports that we're using. Now I could survive with just one port at the front, but I don't really like the commitment, and also it's just completely unnecessary to take it off because this USB-A port goes to a standard USB 3 front header connector, you know, the 2 rows of pins one, and this one goes to the USB-C front panel connector. So they've got 2 header cables already. So it was completely unnecessary to not have 2 USB-A type ports there. They could have put 2 ports there and the USB-C port. No problem whatsoever. And that's not going to make it look untidy because these are really nice tidy ports anyway. And then in addition to that, they've moved the hard drive activity LED into the power switch ring. That's fine. I'm okay with that. In fact, I like that. But also they took out the mic jack there as well. And they've included a really horrible looking adapter. So this is a 4-pin jack. And it's just... I mean, I use a USB headset anyway, but again, it feels unnecessary to remove that when a lot of people who would be using it will also be using a dual jack headset where you've got the headphone and microphone 3.5mm plugs. So again, it just seems counterintuitive there. So then we get on to the next issue. So as I hinted at, it's no secret that the H500 didn't have great thermals because of the poor intake at the front. I didn't think it would be a problem because I thought that sort of 1 inch, 1.5 inch gap or so would be enough to give the fans sufficient clearance to breathe. But anyone who has actually done tests on this will know that that's just not the case. It works fine, don't get me wrong. My CPU doesn't overheat or anything. And for that reason, I still love my H500. But it's just not a good performer. You know, other cases do much better with what they have. And now the issue is that on the H510 Elite, in order to put those fans out the front here, they have moved. Let me see if I can find an exploded view. There it is. They've put these fans in front of that fan tray instead of behind it, which is where you would put it on my setup. So in my setup, you've got the fan tray, the fans, the water cooling rad. And on this one, they've moved the fans in front of the tray, which means the fans are now like 25 mil closer to the front of the case. So that already restricted airflow gap is now even smaller than it was before, to the point where, according to the Gamer's Nexus review of this case, it's actually straight up a problem now. You know, the case performs even worse, and there's actually weird eddy noises and things like that. So you're actually hearing the fans struggling to breathe. And that's no bueno, you know, that's no good at all. And I'm like, you could have designed that, you could have redesigned the fan tray so there was no beams going across the front of the fan, so you'd still be able to see the fans when they're installed. You know, just like have a little offcut in the corners so you can mount the fans without having them not on show. And they didn't do that. And then, so with all of that in mind, and also, like, you know, another throwaway issue is, you know, the vertical graphics card mount, which is a novelty in the H500. It doesn't work because it leaves your graphics card right up against the front glass, which is just completely no bueno as well. They have done nothing to alleviate that issue, which, again, I wouldn't expect them to, but again, it just shows that they're not really interested in fixing the known issues with this case. And then finally, we get to the price. It's $170, and, you know, for me, that works out at £150. Now, bearing in mind, the H500i was £100, so I was expecting it to be like 130, maybe 140, but no, it was 150, and the only people in the UK who have it are scan.co.uk. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Scan, they're a great company, but I have Amazon Prime. I'm used to having next day delivery for free, or rather on my subscription. So when Scan turned around and said, oh yeah, that's another £11 for delivery, so now actually it's costing me £161 to get this case, that's the point where I closed the window. I was like, no, I'm not paying, like, even if I sold my H500i for like £70 because I sold it through my shop where I can sell it for a bit more, I'm basically paying £100 over what I've already got to get the front glass, the fans, the front glass and the fans. And that's why I didn't buy the H510 Elite, and that's why there's no video on the H510 Elite that I'm going to be bringing you. And I'm really sad about it. I wanted this case. I was ready to forgive, like, all the things that people don't like about it. I was like, I can live with that. I'm okay with that. I just really like this case. But it's no good, and I'm sad about it. So I think I've waffled along. I think I've spoken enough about this now. You get the idea. So yeah, it makes me sad. The reason why I bothered making this video is because I was really excited to make a H510 Elite review video. So the best I can manage is a video about why I didn't buy it. So that's that. I'm going to keep my H500i for now, but, you know, I'm going to be keeping my eye out for another case because, you know, I don't know, I kind of want to get into that position where I've got the itch to change my case now and then, just to keep my PC fresh. But don't know, I like the H500i. I think it's going to be tough to beat. The only one that was really going to beat it for me was this case, but not for $170. That's no good. Thanks for watching. See you all next time. Bye for now.